Howdy. Well, I've gone through this once before, but I was just thinking of something, and it made me think of this. That's a cigar. Why is there a cigar sitting there? Well, in, I guess, when was it? About 1862, 64? I forget when exactly. But it was a September morning. On September 13th, the 27th Indiana Regiment was parked in what had been a Confederate camp. And a couple of NCOs were sitting around the fire, a Sergeant Bloss and a Corporal Mitchell. And looking around the fire, they found, among other things, somebody had dropped a cigar. And it had a piece of paper wrapped around it. So they opened it up and looked at it. And it looked important, like something that, you know, some higher officer must need. So they sent it up the chain of command. And it ended up with a fellow by the name of, oh gosh, what was his name? Let's see, Samuel Pittman. And Sam had gone to West Point with a fellow by the name of Robert Chilton, and he recognized the handwriting as Robert's. Robert was the adjutant to Robert E. Lee. So he thought, oh, holy crap, this is important. He got it on over to, was this McClellan, who looked at it and said, This was just before the Battle of what was it, Manassas? I forget the name of the damn battle. But Antietam. It was just before Antietam. Well, this... I don't know whose, it's some ancestors of mine, had this scabbard. The sword that went in it was lost to the hands of time, but I've got, oh, come here now. I've got a 1903 bayonet inside it, and I'll use it for pointing. What you're looking at here are Confederate revolvers of one kind or another. This is a Rigdon, was it Leach and Rigdon, this one. This is a Spiller and Burr. This is a Dance Brothers, this is a Griswold and Gunnison, and this is a LeMat. This one, for reference, is an actual 1851 Navy. Actually, none of these are actual. They're all various facsimiles of the original. Now, the reason I point those out is that I was looking through some books, this one in particular that I recently got, called Arming the Glorious Cause, Weapons of the Second War for Independence, which is what some people call the war between the states. That one, and this is another one I've got, it's called Firearms of the Confederacy. It's a beautiful book. And an old one that I have, this is from 1963, and it's called Confederate Arms. And this is a really good book. I mean, it has all of these pistols are shown, well, they're all shown here. By the way, this LeMat is a Navy LeMat. They had a Navy, Army, and cavalry. And you can tell the difference by the kind of lever on the hammer for that handles the 16-gauge shotgun barrel in the middle. If it has a little hook on top, that's an Army or a cavalry. If it's like this and it's just plain, that means it's a Navy. Well, oh, and I wanted to show this. This, speaking of LeMat, there's a book on the LeMat. Damn good book, by the way. But all of these are excellent reference books, historical books, and I don't know if this one's even available anymore. I think it's out of print. But all the fellows who authored it are now kind of dead, so I don't know for sure. But, you know, it's a good book. This one, I think it was like Franklin Press. I forget, it's one of those fancy press ones. From the Firearms Classic Library. Cost me 25 bucks. Phew. In cooperation with the National Rifle Association and the National Firearms Museum. Published for the National Rifle Association by Odysseus Editions. And it doesn't have a copyright. Oh, it does. God, I don't have my glasses. What is it? 1996. But it's a beautiful book. Anyway, this one is gorgeous. None of these are in color. They're all in black and white. But this one is, I think we've gone through this one before, but it has some gorgeous pictures in it for black and white. But it just looking at all of these various, and what gets me about the Confederate revolvers, it's always Leach and Rigdon, Griswold and Gunnison. It's always a couple of guys. There's always one who's an inventor, the other is an entrepreneur. The Dance brothers, this one, that was a couple of blacksmith guys from Texas who just got together and said, hey, we can build a revolver. And they did. They made several. And by the way, they started the war with a lot of dragoons and other revolvers that Sam Colt made for them. Sam Colt never forgot Texas. But anyway, this cigar is just to represent the one that basically almost lost completely the Battle of Antietam. The fact of the matter is that the generals on the Union side were incompetent boobs, and they were going up against one of the greatest men who ever commanded troops in North America by the name of Robert E. Lee. And Lee may have been on the wrong side, quote, the wrong side in the Civil War, but he was the best general of the Civil War, period. Logistics wore him down, but Lee could take an army and do things with it very few men could. And he was highly respected by both sides, with reason, good reason. Anyway, Civil War vintage Confederate revolvers. Fascinating study, and if you're interested, I would suggest looking into these books, looking into other books, and seeing what you can find on them, because they are just they're a wonderful study, and they're fun to collect, and they're fun to look at, and they're fun to shoot. I haven't shot this Leach and Rigdon yet. I've shot all the rest of these, but not this one. This Spiller and Burr, not so good. In my opinion, not so good. But Blackie Thomas talked about the fact that the hammer on them just is not in the best of shape. Oh, and by the way, if you happen to buy one of the Griswolds that's out there right now, they come with these awful, awful plastic grips on them. Well, I just kept my eye on eBay, and the guy was selling off some facsimile, I think these are rosewood grips for a 1911, and I thought, they also fit a single action army 1873. And I thought, well, that Griswold has a grip very damn similar to an 1873. So I ordered it, kept my fingers crossed, and they fit. So those plastic grips have gone to the dumpster heaven. And I would not suggest, if you get a Griswold of the modern Pieta version, throw away those grips and get a new set. That's just my own opinion on the subject. Happy trails.